Okay, this is Shannon Kringonian Goddess KRING in Seattle. I just had a conversation with somebody that was fairly lengthy, and I'm thinking about the paradox of fitting in versus standing out, of conforming versus not conforming, of me trying to figure out how do I collaborate with another person. I am an individual human being. I was just giving and receiving information with somebody, and we talked about patterns in the world, and we talked about, I feel like putting my hands up like this for some reason. Hello. We talked about patterns in the world, and we talked about being a pattern thinker. We talked about many different things. I feel like keeping it private. A lot of the things that I discussed with this person will be private, and I will keep that for my own private mind, my own individual mind. Every single person is a unique individual, and I'm just going to speak off the top of my head. This is a totally improvisational monologue, just like my art car, which is a Honda Fit covered in rhinestones. I spent 3 years covering my car with rhinestones, and I made up the design as I went. I'm a completely improvisational artist. Um, I talked with this person about some of my fear of scarcity, some of the paradigms that I was taught by my family, and some of the cultural things happening with humanity right now on the earth, and the different patterns and the different ways in which people conform versus rebel, the way in which people agree to disagree, or the way in which people are polarized, and how I fit into all of that, and how I personally, every single human is completely unique and completely different, and yet we're all here together on this planet. It is November 1st, 2024. I am a Sun, Scorpio, Taurus rising, Moon in Capricorn, Venus in Sagittarius, Mercury in Libra. I don't know if that matters, but I like the patterns. It's an interesting pattern. I am thinking about the potential of people who feel competitive and jealous with each other, people who feel inspired by people, the idea of success and failure, the idea of some people think that if you're successful, that you're some kind of egomaniac, and that if you're good at something, you're an egomaniac. Maybe we are afraid of our own beauty. And there's that quote that maybe we are afraid of our light and our talent more than we're afraid of our dark side. And then I'm thinking about people who project their shadow onto others, and people who find scapegoats, people who think of certain famous people as heroes and certain famous people as villains. The idea of the human psychology of putting things into a box, putting things into a category, projecting all of your anger and fear onto one person, and then having the hopes of another person being a hero that saves and rescues. So I'm seeing the human psychology of that, and I am seeing myself like as a collective, and then I'm seeing myself as an individual human on this planet, and how we are all completely different. And I'm trying to figure out where I belong and where I fit in. I've never really wanted to fit in. Like, of course, I want to be loved and accepted, and I don't want to be ostracized. My way of finding a niche is to be my own individual self. I think that part of what it is for me is being an artist, is the idea of having freedom of expression, freedom of individuality. And the way I approach doing my artwork is similar to how I approach my social life, which is I don't really have a lot of close friends. But the friends that I feel the closest to are the people, men or women, that I am friends with that appreciate my individuality, and I appreciate their individuality. And so my way of fitting in is to stand out. So I would say that ever since I was 3 years old in my grandmother's backyard and I saw Shirley Temple on TV, I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be, and it sounds silly to say I want to be famous out loud. I've always wanted to be famous. And then I think, well, what does that mean? That sounds very shallow, doesn't it? I want to be famous. Famous for what, though? And what does fame even mean? I think that to me personally, because you might have a different definition, I don't want to tell you what to think. You need to think whatever you think, whoever's listening to this. You have your own mind, you have your own personal power. You can think whatever you want. I'm just telling you what I think. What I think personally is my idea that I want to be famous. What does that mean? For me, the idea of wanting to be famous means I want to express my own unique individuality and amplify it. Like I like to say, amplified chameleon. Here it is right here. I think I've showed this before. Ah, I can get it. Trying to like there. Amplified chameleon, getting her dreams on. These are self-portraits. These are all photos that I've taken of me where I look different in every photo. I'm wearing a black wig in this one, and I darken my eyebrows with makeup. This is no makeup. Obviously that's face paint, that's black and white. That's me with a fake mustache. That's my twin brother. I don't have any brothers or sisters, but if I did, they would be that. So this is the different, like amplified chameleon. These are all the different versions of me, the individual self. So when I say I want to be famous, I think that when I was 3 years old, I had this urge to stand out. I don't want to fit in. I don't want to blend in. I want to stand out. So my way of belonging, it's a paradox. My way of belonging is to stand out. My way of wanting to fit in is to stand out. And when I go around with other people, I don't feel like I want to change their mind about anything. I feel like what I always want to do is express I want to feel like I have the right to exist as an individual. I've always felt like I wanted to stand out. I wanted to be appreciated for being a unique individual. I have always wanted, and I admire the people that I admire the most, my heroes, are musicians and actors and singers and dancers, performing artists. I also love visual artists. I love philosophers. I love human beings that have unique ideas. Is that called an iconoclast? I'm not sure, but trailblazers, humans that whether they're an artist or a singer or a dancer or a scientist or a philosopher or somebody, and an inventor. What do you call people who invent new things, people who invent new technology? I've always been fascinated by people who stand out. I think of myself as like when they say find your tribe, I'm like, well, who is my tribe? I don't know who my tribe is. I like to say oxymorons through the door, a group for loners, and they all showed up, meaning it's a paradox. The only way that I can feel like I fit in is to fully be myself. And my literal self is a individual. I am a total individual, just like you are a totally unique individual. Every person is a unique individual, even if we might fit into categories like I'm left-handed, I'm an only child, I have naturally curly hair, I have certain eye color, certain hair color. My ancestors on one side are Norwegian and Swedish, and my ancestors on the other side are Irish and English and Scottish. Those are little categories that we all fit into of what our DNA is, where our ancestors came from, what language we speak, what gender we are, if we're an introvert or an extrovert. I sometimes think I'm mostly an introvert. Other times I think I'm more of an extrovert than I realize. Um, because I sometimes I'm really annoyed by loud people. People that are very loud and domineering annoy me. And they say sometimes when you're annoyed by somebody, it's because you are suppressing and repressing that part of yourself. So the part of me that's an extrovert, the part of me that's more loud, the part of me that wants to command attention, um, is maybe being suppressed. I think of both my parents. My mom and dad are both very sensitive, intelligent, gifted people. My mom with visual art, and my dad with comedy and music and athleticism. And I grew up feeling like it wasn't okay to be too successful, to shine my light too bright, that I should shrink myself to make other people feel better, and that if I do really well at something, I should apologize because other people might be jealous of me and feel competitive. And in fact, in high school, when I would win tennis matches, I would feel guilty for winning. So this is my relationships of success, to feel like it's selfish and greedy to succeed and to do too well at something, and to feel like I need my job is to be nice and be like a doormat and let other people walk all over me, which is not really okay. It is a good trait, though, to be humble and compassionate and have empathy. It is a good trait. The fact that I would rather have people be inspired by me than feel jealous or intimidated by me is a good thing, because I do like the idea of inspiring other people to fully express themselves and to do what they love. I love the idea of joining with other people who celebrate their individuality. So if I had to join a group, it would be a group for loners. It would be a group for people who love their own individuality, but also want to connect with other individual humans. They say that I'm on the autism spectrum because I've been officially assessed by psychological evaluators, whatever that's called, whatever the conventional thing is called. I don't remember. I don't care about that, the label of that, but I have been assessed and gone through several sessions of assessing the way my brain works. And I'm on the autism spectrum, apparently have a poor working memory, and I'm rigid in some of my thinking. And yet at the same time, I recognize patterns, and I have a very intuitive, artistic way of seeing things. And I'm the opposite. Some autistic people take everything literally. I seem to take everything as a metaphor, even if somebody literally means something. I take it to mean something symbolic or a metaphor. So maybe I'm dyslexic with my autism in terms of taking everything as a metaphor, even if it's supposed to be literal. So this is an indication of my amplified chameleon getting her dreams on. Typecast, my dragon sleeps, monkey moon coming soon, phases of seeing the gray balloon. That means, I wrote that, that's a poem I wrote. It means to acknowledge the paradox of everything and the fact that we're all very similar, but we're all totally different at the same time. Every person is like their own universe. And so I just talked to somebody for a long, I'm going to put this down now, my artwork down. I talked to somebody for a long time, and now I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed and disoriented, like I want to get my own power back. I feel like maybe that's my autism, meaning that I'm in my own world as my own unique universe, and I'm talking into the camera lens. I'm looking into the lens like it's a friend of mine. Hello, camera lens, you're a friend of mine. I'm seeing the camera lens, and I'm feeling comforted by it. I need to clean my nose, don't I? Sorry about that. Um, so I would say that I am 56 years old. My name is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING. I live in Seattle and I speak English, and here I am talking into the camera. So I feel like I'm in touch with the fact that I feel a little disoriented, like I want to get my own personal feeling of centeredness back. When I try to collaborate with another person, we were having a dialogue and we were talking about how to deal with the challenges of current world paradigms and current environments that people are in right now in terms of agreeing or disagreeing on different world events and topics. I'm just intentionally being vague because I want this monologue of mine to be open-ended and open-minded. I want you, the listener, to feel free to have any opinion that you want to have. What I love about being human is the idea of freedom and embracing grace, moonshone face. That's another poetic phrase. I have poetry phrases that pop into my head, and I write them down and I turn them into songs with Dave Flowers from Interactive Jack Records. This is something I'm excited about. I collaborate with Dave. I'm not really always good at collaborating. I've always wanted to stand out. So when I say that I want to be famous, I think, and as silly as that sounds, what does that even mean? It means that I've always wanted to take whatever's unique about me and amplify it, literally speak into a microphone, literally take photos and paint and write poems and publish. I've always wanted to mass produce. I've always wanted to. I remember when I was 11 years old and I made postcards and bookmarkers and I sold them at an art fair. And I just remember how good it felt to have a stack of postcards. I made 10 different postcards. And the idea of mass producing, of creating something from my own unique hands and mind, and to produce it, to mass produce it, to generate copies of my art and give it to the public. I've always wanted to communicate through microphones and cameras, through when I saw Shirley Temple as a little kid, as a 3 or 4 or 5 year old little kid in the backyard in San Diego at my grandma's backyard. I would sit on my swing set in my grandma's backyard and pretend like I had a microphone. And I always wanted to have my own show. I always wanted to have the Shannon show. And when I was a little girl and we would drive around in our Volkswagen, I always wanted there to be a sign on the outside of the car saying, "Hi, I'm Shannon. My dad, my step grandpa and I are going to go to the zoo on Tuesdays, and my favorite animal is the seal." And I always wanted to like broadcast. And my friend in Norway said that the word kring casting means broadcasting in Norwegian. I don't know if that's true, but there's a word like kring casting, and my name is Kringen, which is Norwegian, but I shortened it to Goddess KRING. And apparently that means something about broadcasting. And so it could be that I was born with this. I never had kids of my own. Um, I almost had a kid in my 20s and then I decided not to. And I sometimes wonder and I feel sad about that. But I made the choice that I made, but I'm here now and I never had kids and I never got married and I'm my own person. So when I say I want to be famous, every time I say that, it's embarrassing to say, it sounds really shallow, like it's just my ego. But what I mean by that is I've always wanted to communicate. I've always wanted to create, to amplify what is unique about me and then communicate it to whoever's interested. So like a group of people. So you could say an audience, like when you record your voice, when you write a poem, when you paint something and you put it on a wall and the public comes and looks at it. I've always been excited by that. And I was raised by two very creative, talented parents who, in my opinion, they both don't really like the spotlight. My parents, literally both of them, do not like to be photographed. My parents do not like to be on, they do not want to be on stage. Other than my dad is an amazing tennis player and he's comfortable being in front of people playing tennis and working out. And he's actually a personal fitness trainer. He's in his early 80s and he's super, super fit and healthy. And he is kind of comfortable. He's a little bit like me in that way. He kind of likes to be on stage in terms of that, but not literally. Like he's written comedy and folk music and he sings, but he hasn't actually gone on stage ever professionally. And my mom does lots of really unique visual art, but she's not super ambitious in terms of wanting to be famous. My parents both don't really want the limelight. They don't really want to be famous. They do not, my parents do not want to be famous. I have always wanted to be famous. So ever since I was 3 years old and I saw Shirley Temple on TV, I've always wanted to create something from my own unique ability and broadcast it, literally record it, produce it, make copies of it, distribute it to an audience. I've always wanted to do that ever since my first memories of being a child was playing in the backyard and daydreaming and fantasizing about singing and dancing and acting and painting and drawing and making visual art, making music, singing, dancing, acting, poetry, visual and performing arts. I've always wanted to do that. And indeed, right now in my life, I did my public access TV show, Goddess KRING. I want to make a documentary film. I write poetry. I publish poetry books. I publish visual art books. I painted this hat for Tom Petty in the 90s. Here, I'll show you. This is this is my first public unveiling of a drawing that I did of Tom Petty in a very cartoony kind of style. This is going to be published in a publication, but I can't say what it is because that's not fully, but I made this recently. I that's a hat that I painted for Tom Petty. I painted shoes for Tori Amos. These actually are the 1996. These are shoes that they're worn out now. See, look, the heel's worn. These are shoes I painted in 1996. Tori Amos actually has a pair in her size 7. This is my size 10. I painted shoes for Tori Amos, a hat for Tom Petty. That's part of my reality. I publish. I do publish. I publish a Kringonian Pizzazz poetry book. I published Art Identity in the Sacred, a visual art book. The hat back there I painted. I have clothing. Let's see. I have These are designs. I have leggings and t-shirts and shoes. These are abstract drawings that I did, and I made a collage and I had them printed onto this. So I have my art in many different ways. I have hand-painted stuff. I have many photos that I've taken. So I do produce. I do write poetry and publish it into books. I make visual art and I publish that into books. I record music with Dave Flowers at Interactive Jack Records, Seattle. I have an art car. I've been in a lot of live performances. I've done a little bit of acting. I have done a lot. I am an art model. I model for figure drawing classes. I've had thousands of people over the last 32 years draw me, and I still feel like I want more. I want more. I want more. So I think that maybe I have held back my entire life. I feel like I'm kind of an introvert, but maybe I'm not really an introvert. As a kid, I was shy and sensitive. I'm still very sensitive and shy about being criticized. I don't like being criticized. I need to learn to be stronger. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I collaborate with other people? What I seem to be best at is doing my own solo thing. Like right now, I'm in my apartment alone recording this video. It's hard for me to talk like this. The way I'm talking alone into the camera right now is more confident than when I'm in person with another person. I am more shy. I am more withdrawn. I hold back. I'm afraid of over talking. And so I let the other person talk. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do I collaborate? How do I share in a dialogue with another person? Is this my autism? Am I introverted or extroverted? I think I'm a little bit of both. I'm a little bit country. I'm a little bit rock and roll. I'm a little bit cautious, and I'm a little bit brave and daring. I'm a little bit wild and I'm a little bit tame. So I've always wanted to be famous, meaning I've always wanted to create something unique that's for my own individuality and broadcast it, literally record it, literally. And my parents are both extremely talented, and yet they do not. So I need to break free from feeling like my parents are not going to approve of me if I'm too out in the world in the limelight. And it's true that I might never be as famous as I want to be. I probably won't be ever as famous as I want to be, and that is okay. But I still want to fully express. I still want to fully um, express from my heart and soul and mind in my own unique way. And I like the idea of encouraging other people. If you want to act or sing or dance or paint or draw or learn how to sew or learn how to be a gardener or learn how to mountain climb or go skydiving or travel. I've done a lot of traveling. I went to Australia and Mexico and a bunch of European countries, and I encourage you. I like the idea that I am here to say yes, do what you love, do what you want. Don't listen to people that discourage you. If you really want to do something and you really love something, you should do it, and don't let other people spray water on your candle. I wrote a song about it called Monkey Wrench. And Monkey Wrench, the lyrics in my song Monkey Wrench, there's other songs named the same thing, but I wrote a song called Monkey Wrench that Dave Flowers and I produced at Interactive Jack Records on the Goddess KringFlower album. And Monkey Wrench is, don't spray water on our candle if you think it's more than you can handle. Skinny dippers line the shore. Take a load off of this rocky road. Those are lyrics that I wrote. That's my own unique poem that I wrote. And it means be true to yourself and believe in your dreams and believe in manifesting your dreams, which is why I love Tori Amos and Tom Petty so much, because they symbolize to me being true to yourself and following your heart and your soul and your dreams. And so this has always driven me. And now I realize I need to break free from worrying about my parents not loving me if I'm too successful or if I'm too extroverted in a way that makes them uncomfortable, because my parents are both more introverted than me, both of them. They're both very highly intelligent, highly sensitive, beautiful human beings. And in my opinion, they don't realize how talented they are. Both my mom and dad, I think, maybe don't realize how actually talented they are and how gifted they are, but maybe they don't really care, and that they think it's egotistical to amplify that. I've always wanted to take whatever is unique about me and amplify it, and literally, and I have attracted a fair amount of criticism for what I do. Um, my public access TV show, I used to dance around only wearing body paint and nothing else. And I would talk about my personal problems, but then I would also talk, which is, kind of embarrassing that I had no boundaries. And I would just say, all my personal stuff within reason. Um, but I had the courage to do that and the courage to just put something out there in the world and see what kind of response I would receive back. And I'm still trying to figure out. And I asked recently on YouTube if anybody wants to have me interview them or they can interview me. And I got really a lack of response. So I'm thinking people just think I'm weird, or maybe people are just busy and distracted and they're just not interested. So it could be that I'm supposed to just keep doing these monologues, and maybe working by myself is my best thing anyway. My forte is I like being a model because I'm the only one in the room that's the model, but then I'm part of the group, but I stand out because I'm the model and everyone else is drawing me. There's one instructor and there's me, the model, and then there's all the people drawing me, the model, while the instructor teaches. So I'm comfortable being in the role of being in a group, but being unique in the group. So the uniqueness of being part of a group, but being the only model in the room, or being um, on stage sharing music with people, or being in the parades. I've been in a whole bunch of art car parades and a whole bunch of body paint bicycle ride parades, where me and all the other people that are body painted are riding around in our bicycles wearing only body paint sometimes, and waving at the public and smiling at the public. And I feel very comfortable doing that. I feel very comfortable um, recording this video. I feel very comfortable staring into the camera lens, and I'm going to listen back to this video to try to learn from it. I want to break free from worrying about what other people think. I want to break free from worrying that I'm an egomaniac, because everybody has an ego, whether somebody is humble or shy and putting themselves down or apologizing, or even Mother Teresa had an ego. She wanted to help other people. It made her feel good to help other people, which is a wonderful thing. But still, that is an ego. Everybody has an ego. Everybody has, whether everyone thinks they're great or they're constantly scrutinizing and criticizing themselves and putting themselves down, that's still an ego. If you're self-conscious about how good or bad you are, that's your ego. That is your ego. That's part of yourself, being self-conscious about yourself. So when I say I want to explore what it is to be my individual self and put that out into the world and see what kind of response I get, and figure out how much I collaborate with other people. Like literally the documentary film that I make about the Goddess KRING public access TV show might be mostly just me. Maybe that would be a unique documentary, because my show was just me. Whenever I would try to have guests on, I would get very shy and just laugh and smile and just be polite. And I had a hard time really coming out of my shell when other people were with me on camera. And I feel like when I try to have a dialogue with another person and work with them in a collaborative way, I'm doing well though with Dave Flowers. I was going to say I kind of wimp out. I tend to kind of wimp out, and I don't know how to be super powerful around other people. I'm more powerful when I'm doing my own thing. And I go, look, everybody, here I am recording myself, and then I write poetry in my journal by myself, and then I turn it into songs. So Dave Flowers and I are doing an amazing job because he's a great musician. He is a sound engineer, a mixer, He also writes melodies on the keyboard, the synthesizer. He can play a little bit of guitar, a little bit of drums, a little bit of keyboard, a little bit of bass. He does a little bit of everything, jack of all trades, but he also mixes songs. And I've written a few melodies. I can do sort of melodies on the piano and improvise on the piano. I have some musical ability, but my biggest ability seems to be writing these poems and writing these metaphorical rhymes. And then we're turning them into music. So I was going to say, working with Dave Flowers on music is an example of me, Shannon Kringen, doing a good job at collaborating with another person. And I suppose when I show up to art modeling gigs and I pose, and everyone draws me, I'm collaborating. I am giving them something to draw and they are drawing. So I guess I am collaborating. And when I take care of dogs and cats, I am collaborating with the people, with the humans who have me come and take care of their pets. So I guess I am collaborating. These are the ways in which I'm good at collaborating. So I guess I'm doing this video to say, welcome to November 1st, 2024. I'm thinking about what it is to, my way of fitting in is to stand out. I guess that's the main gist of this video, is the paradox of fitting in, being your real self by standing out. I think that I've always felt like my job in a group is to stand out. So, or to be with other people who celebrate their individuality. So, oxymorons through the door, a group for loners, and they all showed up, meaning one of the most interesting groups that I can imagine joining would be a group for people who appreciate their own individuality more than they all want to be one certain way. The one way in which they want to be is to fully be their own unique self, because we literally are all different, even if we can agree on certain categories that we fit into. You know, there's other people in the world that are left-handed. I'm an only child. I'm left-handed. I have naturally curly hair. You know, I speak English. There's other people that have some of these similar traits to mine. Okay, but on a deeper level, we are totally unique. Every single human is totally unique. And I guess that's what I'm interested in exploring. I'm interested in exploring the freedom of individuality and to amplify it and to present it to the public and have it be useful to others. I like the idea that my creativity can be useful to other people. My photos, my paintings, my video monologues, my wearable art, music, poetry, painting, photography, video monologues, writing. Those are most of the creative things that I do. And I just remember being a 3-year-old little kid in my grandma's backyard, or maybe I was 4 or 5 or 6, and being inspired by Shirley Temple, who was laughing and smiling and singing and dancing and expressing herself and dazzling people with her magic spark of creativity and her cuteness and her playfulness and her emotional expressiveness, her unique quality. You know, the unique quality of all of the actors and singers and dancers and performers that I appreciate. Every single one of them is totally unique. I love Gene Wilder and Christopher Walken and Tom Petty and Mick Jagger and David Bowie and Jason Webley and Rafe Perlman and Pete Droge. I'm going to go to the Pete Droge concert coming up here in Seattle at the Triple Door on November 7th. I'm excited. And I'm excited that Pete Droge thanked me for appreciating his music and congratulated me on the interview that they did of me in the Seattle Magazine. And I'm really happy about that he even knew that. And, you know, what a friendly, nice guy he is. And just the beautiful folk music of him. And I recently listened to a band I forgot about called the Deep Dark Woods. I love the band Cutworms. Just all the musicians and actors and singers and dancers in the world. Thank you so much for your contribution to humanity. All of Hundertwasser, my favorite painter, Yayoi Kusama. I think I said her name right. The wonderful artist that I love the art of. And there's so many different artists, musicians, singers, dancers, actors, philosophers, Krishnamurti, all kinds of cool, the guy from India called Krishnamurti that my mom raised me with some of the ideas of about being open and um, just the idea of having your mind be open and experimenting with ideas and thoughts and feelings and expressing your individuality. These are just some of the things that make me tick. And the idea of being an amplified chameleon, getting her dreams on, meaning, and in fact, I think the name of our second album, the Goddess KRING album, KringFlower is our first album, 11 songs on it. Amplified Chameleon might be the name of our second album. And I'm also going to have a song called Spread the Kring, where I joke around about different metaphors. And so I am just excited to keep amplifying my chameleon while I get my dreams on. And I encourage you, whoever's listening, if anybody is listening all the way through this long, 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 long monologue by Shannon Kringen, I hope that you will follow your heart and pursue your dreams and do what you love. And even if you're just doing it for yourself and you're not going to publish it, if you just want to like sing or dance or act or write in your journal or write a poem or paint or have a garden or just whatever it is that makes you happy that you love, I encourage you to do that. And don't listen to people who discourage you. Listen to yourself who wants to. And also, if you are discouraging yourself, say, you know what? I can do it. I can be my own best friend and I can do what I love. Do what you love. So that's my overall message to myself and to you, whoever listening to this. Um, yeah, I just wanted to say that. Now I feel more a sense of personal power, more a sense of centered in myself. Thank you so much to the person who had a dialogue with me today. Thank you to all the people who have worked with me and collaborated with me. And I will continue to try to break free from patterns that I would like to break free from and be liberated from my ancestral patterns of being afraid of my own ego or afraid of success. I'm not really afraid of failure. I've already failed quite a bit in my life. I feel like I'm more afraid of success than I am a failure, because if you do well at something, other people are going to be jealous of you and feel competitive with you. And I know what that's like because I sometimes feel jealous and competitive with other people, and it's not a good feeling at all. I would rather feel liberated from all of that. I would rather feel like I can really love myself, and whether I fail or succeed doesn't even matter. If you're doing what you love, I'm pretty weird and my art is kind of strange. And I know that I probably will never appeal to like the masses, but I would like to just do my art to the best of my ability and publish it as much in the world as possible. And whoever likes it, it's for you. Like if it's 100 people or 1,000,000 people or 1,000 people, it doesn't matter how many people it's for. I just want to do the best work that I can do and put it out into the world and have it be useful to other people in some way, whether it's entertaining or inspiring. People who don't like my work, maybe they use it to make fun of. People love to make fun of people and ridicule people and put people in a box, put people in a category, gaslight, scapegoat, shadow project, all that jazz. That's not as fun as when someone's inspired. But I think some people have used me. People who don't like what I do, they use me to make themselves feel better. People put down and criticize and make fun of other people to make themselves feel better. I know that my grandmother on my mom's side used to love to criticize the neighbors. It made her feel better about herself. But my grandma was actually very good with animals, and she would criticize that the neighbors were not good with animals. And she might have been right, but she seemed to really love to criticize other people more than she loved to do other things. So, but then again, my grandma was a smart lady and she was really good at taking care of animals. She played the piano. She was left-handed like me. Um, I learned from her in some ways. So when people like to criticize other people, it's to make themselves feel better sometimes, although sometimes they have a valid point of why they're criticizing another person. So I would like to liberate myself from worrying about all of this, and I would like to give myself permission to do the best that I can do. And if some people make fun of me, that's okay. And if some people think I'm great, that's great too. But I don't want to take it too seriously. I'll take it with a pinch of salt, like Tom Petty said in a recent video, well, from the 80s. But I watched the movie by Cameron Crowe called Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers Beach Party. And at one point, Tom said, take it with a pinch of salt. When people love what you do or hate what you do, it doesn't matter, because if you're doing what you love and you put it in the world, out into the world, let people have any opinion about it that they want. Of course, we want to be appreciated. I want people to like what I do. I want people to feel inspired by me. But the truth is, some people are going to make fun of me, belittle me, ignore me, not like what I do, misinterpret what I do, think it's weird, think it's crazy, think it's whatever. We all have our opinions, don't we? And so we know what they say about opinions is that, everybody has certain body parts when they eat food and they go to the bathroom, the body parts that we all have. We have mouths and then we have something at the other end, which we go to the restroom and we flush down the toilet. So everybody has that. We're all in this together, eating food and digesting it. So there it is. And so we're all unique, different individuals. And I'm here to explore and experiment with what I can break free from and share my individuality with you and know that you are a unique individual just like me. We're all totally unique and special in our own ways. And I appreciate that. I've always appreciated every time I meet a person, I always think, what is unique about this person? What gives them, everyone has their own kind of quality, their own kind of vibrational frequency, whatever you want to call it, their own personality, their own kind of unique modus operandi, non ti to defendi. That's another line from another one of my poems. I say, nectarine, avocado, it's always been my motto, modus operandi, no need to defend I. And so what song is that? It's Swirly Girl, give it a whirl, find the pearl. Checkerboard childhood in the wild livelihood understood. That's a song I wrote called Swirly Girl. I write lots of poems and put them into songs. And so enjoy your unique self. Catch the Windsong Spiral Drive. I'm going to say goodbye now. I've rambled on quite a bit. Enjoy your day. I hope that you find me inspiring in some way to pursue your own dreams and do what you love that's unique, because you are unique and you are special in your own way, just like me. Everyone else is too. We are all unique, special human beings. And I think that Mr. Rogers on TV, I was born in 68, grew up in the 70s, and I used to watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I love that he said, every child is special, every person, every human is special in their own way, and I fully agree with that and believe in that. And yeah, so we're just here, and this is an interesting experience being a human on planet Earth. So enjoy your day, everyone. Do what you love. Bye for now. Hope you got something out of this video, and I'm going to listen back and see if I learned something about myself from listening to this video. Bye for now.